I want to know what you think, America. Give me a call at 1-800-522-8673. Tonight's guest is an Oscar-nominated actor who has captured the soul of country, such movies as Cannonball Run, Smokey and the Bandit, Deliverance. His new film is Mystery Alaska. You saw him in Boogie Nights. Please welcome Burt Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen. Burt. My liege. Big Burt Reynolds. Want somebody?
No. I find it disturbing that we're buying water, and I don't own it. But it wouldn't matter because I wouldn't get the money anyway.
No, it's just a clever marketing ploy, Burt. Avion is naive spelled backwards.
I knew that.
Just remember that.
I knew that.
Now, when I was a kid, I used to watch talk shows, and I always thought, you know, most of it was a little mundane for me. I didn't quite understand all the adult humor, but I remember when you came on The Tonight Show, those are the best shots in the history of the planet. Before we talk about country music, I have to give that up to you. You were literally the best talk show guest in the history of the medium. You used to just kill me when I was a kid. I thought
There's no pressure now, is there?
Wow. I thought I'd put you in a bind.
No. I just remember I watched you one night. I've watched you many times, but I watched you one night with a guy who shall go nameless, Charlton Heston, and and Chuck. It's hard to call him Chuck, but I did Mr. Roberts with him 100 years ago on Broadway, and I remember he came to rehearsal a week late because he was doing he was playing Moses, I think. Anyway, he was parting seas and things, and these are all biblical students, aren't they?
Yeah.
I was sitting with two very, very good actors who were Bobby Duvall and a guy named Rance Howard, whose wife was pregnant, and if I'd have known then that the kid was going to be Ronnie Howard, I'd have given him $100,000 for the kid. but we looked over, and the door opened, and there was Chuck Heston. And he had a camel hair coat on, and he's about 6'3" or 4. And I remember I went like this to Duvall, and I said, "Dear God, I will never be a movie actor. Look at this guy." And he took one step and went, and he wasn't the most coordinated man I've ever met. But he was a very nice man, if you like people to the right of Genghis Khan.
Yeah.
And I do.
He was on this show, and he was on for 8 minutes.
Wonderful on the show.
But in 8 minutes, he said the phrase, "You don't ever want to come to my door unannounced," like 3 times. And I said, well, Jesus Christ,
there was a
Chuck.
whole bunch of people out there that said, well, he's there now, let's go to his house. Now, when you're hosting a show, and I used to host the Tonight Show once in a while, and you look down and you see, because God love him, Chuck Heston used to say, like everybody did in those days, "I love Mexico, I love the movie, I love the people, I love the runs, I love getting sick, I love this children asking for things," you know, and I was the first guy to come on and say, "The picture sucks."
I remember that.
And I guess that sort of had
it was very cathartic, man. You were
it
like...
was very cathartic. It didn't help the film, but it was cathartic.
What?
And this, I want to say, this is pretty subtle.
Huh?
Isn't this subtle?
I know.
I mean, I've seen Thai class before, but 2 mics up your nose is subtle.
Now, let me ask you this. In the last year, I'd say your life is read sort of like a country music song in a way, and I want to know how you feel, because now when you took Boogie Nights, as I understand it, when I've watched you talk about it, you weren't quite sure about it. You didn't even want to do it at first, right? So then you take it. Then you're up for an Oscar. Then you become the front runner for the Oscar, but maybe the film peaks a little early, because I think it came out earlier than the year in a lot of things. And, you know, Robin has accrued a lot of goodwill in this town over the years because he's such an elfin creature, you know what I mean? I'm watching that night. I really think you got a chance. You don't win, and I'm thinking, where does this deposit you all out at? How do you feel? Do you feel good?
I'm pretty pissed off at Robin. No, where it leaves you is that you are when you win the New York Film Critics Award, which was amazing because I never thought that I would do that. 'Cause I must have been close with Cannonball, but I'm not sure. And
one or two?
Two. Two was a little more subtle, and then the New York film critics never agree with the LA film critics.
Right.
Then I won the LA Film Critics Award, which I was the only actor to win both. And then I won the thing, and I kept winning all these critics awards, and I thought, this could ruin my career, because when I was #1, really, Burt? And when I was #1, I get the worst reviews I've ever gotten in my life.
Yeah, but did you give a shit?
No. In fact, I didn't give a shit so much that if I met you during those years, I'm sorry.
We dated for 3 years.
I don't remember. I don't remember a whole lot of things, but yes, my life has been, because my life was like, Jerry Reed wrote a wonderful song called "She Got the Gold Mine, I Got the Shaft." And then there's a couple of songs and people that put down country music. Now, first of all, let me just say this: I am very eclectic. I mean, very strange, because I love jazz. Jazz is my first love. Country music is my second. I grew up in the South, so you didn't hear a lot of Chet Baker. You heard, in fact, Hank Williams was what you wanted to be, and I didn't know that they were going to try to make me Andy when I got into movies, who I didn't really want to be. And you also knew that these people had lived. Also, I find it, I used to go to Nashville a lot, and these were people that were so unpretentious. Not that there's anybody pretentious out here, but they were the most amazing people in that they had no stardom around them. I mean, they just were they just were who they were.
Right.
There is a certain, you're right. I mean, the only thing America really can take credit for inventing, because when you go to France, you find out they invented everything. They tell you. You go to the French Museum, you find out they invented movies. I thought we did, but they did. I didn't argue with them. But what we truly have, and the African American, is jazz. It's ours. Nobody can take credit for that, except you and I, because we're white. But country music, and I'm sure none of you know this and may not care, but during World War II, when they were saying these things to soldiers, make them crazy.
Yeah.
Axis Sally and Tokyo Rose, these are names you throw out when you're with people about 85. They know immediately who you're talking about. This audience is like a painting now.
No. But the women who were trying to get into soldiers' heads over the airways and make them lay down.
They would say things like, "I hate President Roosevelt, I hate Babe Ruth, and I hate country music." And guys would go crazy, berserk. They'd run out. That's how Ollie Murphy got the Medal of Honor. Somebody said that to him. He went, attacked the tank.
Took over a whole battalion.
It just made him crazy. Not about Roosevelt. I never liked him. But that statement is true, that country music was. And yes, there is prejudice, but it's an oxymoron to say that I'm a little bit prejudiced towards country music, because there's a guy named Charlie Pride who is an African American who has done fabulously well in country music.
Yeah, big hits.
Also, there's a couple of singers there that have done crossover albums, but there was an album that I'm sure most of you have never heard, because nobody that I know did, but I love this album. In fact, I tried to get a cut for it tonight, but it's impossible when you got two people on two labels because
nobody cooperates.
Well, one person says yes, the other person says no. So anyway, Reba McEntire did a duet with Natalie Cole, and Reba, you could just tell that in the middle, Natalie Cole was scatting, and Reba was going, I don't see that here. You know, where is that written? And then she was saying things like, sing it, girl! And Reba was going, I don't see that either. But you could see by the end of the song that Reba was cooking. I mean, they were even, you know? I mean, they both had. Trisha Yearwood, I'm sorry, but Trisha Yearwood can sing anything.
All right.
With anybody. The national anthem that she did at the Olympics in Atlanta, that's not an easy song. It shouldn't be, you know. We should never have a song that Johnny Mathis is the only guy that can sing it.
No. National anthem should be My Sharona.
I think so.
Is that a Super Bowl ring?
No.
What is that?
That's a ring. Years ago, I played for football for a team. This was before helmets. And we won a lot of games. And
Florida State?
We never got a ring. And when I was making a few bucks, I bought a ring for all the guys. Of course, there were only 4 still alive. And it was interesting because this was 1954. I was 11. And most of the guys on the team, you watch ESPN?
Sure.
You know who Lee Corso is?
Sure.
He's very funny.
Former Indiana coach.
That's right. He was the right halfback. I was the left halfback. And everybody else was just back from the Korean War. So they were 28, 29. Lee and I were 18. And that's why we love to go to reunions. Because guys are 90 years old. And we always say, God, we look good, don't we?
You do look good, man. I got to do the news. Can you stick around?
I'll be right here.
Burt Reynolds, ladies and gentlemen.